with the aim for them to one day own their own business. She trains them to produce high-quality handicrafted gifts for sale. She also wants to make a tangible difference to the quality of life of the disabled community in Singapore and beyond. Her extraordinary mission in life has been featured in a Singapore documentary, which was broadcast locally and regionally. This extraordinary lady gave up everything to do what she does today. And she has asked some key questions we can actually all learn from. These questions are, is there more to life than financial success? Or aren't we just so caught up that we've forgotten to stop to smell the roses? Before we bring our next speaker on, I want you to have a look at the video.
I'm not extraordinary at all. I'm a very ordinary person. I have so many weaknesses. I may seem to be extraordinary because of the path that I have taken. I've chosen to take the road less traveled.
Just when I was wondering who would turn the gray skies blue, you were passing along the way, and you brighten up my day. Extraordinary people with the love you bring. When you came into my life, like a rainbow in the sky, it's here you stay.
Ladies and gentlemen, extraordinary or ordinary, you decide. Please welcome our next speaker, Lois Ng.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I was featured in the documentary, Changing Lives, Extraordinary People, because I've done things most Singaporeans are unwilling to do. And also because I'm chasing a dream that many people feel is almost impossible to happen. I'm a social entrepreneur. What is a social entrepreneur? An entrepreneur exists to make money. Are you doing social work? Some people have asked me. Well, I combine social work into my business. It's a 50-50 ratio. I'm an entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur, who dreams of having a place where people with different disabilities come together to work as a team to produce high quality and creative gifts. Respect and compassion for one another will bind this group together because there'll be the eyes, the ears, the hands and legs to compensate what the other people lack. I will empower them with training to realize their potentials so that they can assume leadership positions in my company and take over the management for me. People will buy because they like what we do and believe in what we do. I don't encourage sympathy buying at all. I didn't let this dream remain a dream. I've set up a studio, a business called Studio Yo. Studio Yo is set up for the unabled and ultimately to be managed by the enabled. I've created my signature design of two kissing fish called Chica and Chico, and they speak words of love and affirmation in the beautiful underwater world. You see Chica, which is the girl with the ribbon, the green ribbon, and the boy is Chico. They're very small, but hey, they don't let the lack of size bother them. They have the courage to leave the safe waters and venture out into the unknown territory, the big ocean. They will face dangers, temptations, and difficulties. But Chica and Chico will dig deep into their hearts and find courage, compassion, and creativity to solve life's painful situation. I have 5 disabled friends learning how to paint Chica and Chico on tiles. 3 of them were born with disabilities and are in wheelchair. One of them is an accident victim, another one is a stroke victim. When people find out what I do, they often say, "You're doing a very noble work." But some well-meaning friends have also told me, "Hey, what you're doing is more suited for a Tai to do." A Tai is a rich man's wife in Chinese. They say this because a Tai has money, time, and influence to make things happen more quickly. And if she loses money in her business, it's all right because she's doing a very good work. But I'm on my own. I have no money, no art talent, no experience working with the disabled people as well. And worst of all, I had no business plan when I first started. So why am I doing this work? I have to take you back to 1996, when I had the courage to recognize a need to change. I had been working as a journalist with a local newspaper, the New Paper, for over 6.5 years. And I felt that I had seen it all and done it all. I had interviewed stars like Kevin Costner in his, at the peak of his career. I had interviewed Chow Yun-fat from Hong Kong, John Woo, director of Mission Impossible 2. I even spoke on the phone with supermodel Rachel Hunter, the ex-wife of Rod Stewart. What brought the change was after my mother died of kidney failure, after battling the illness for 11 years. I felt I needed to go to Singapore and find my priorities in life. I went to Shanghai for a holiday, and over there, when I was there, I got myself a job as an advertising and promotions manager of a shopping mall. I grabbed the offer, definitely. I was there, I worked, and I enjoyed the lifestyle there. After my stint, I could come back to Singapore or take up another job in Shanghai, but I felt no. I think I just want to go away and find meaning in life. What am I living for? So I packed my bags and I went to Australia, to Melbourne, and I signed up a 6-month course with this organization called Youth with a Mission. I did a 6-month course called Discipleship Training School. From a very Singaporean, me-centered lifestyle, I'd experienced community living with so many people from different countries. I learned to share. And as part of my field trip, I had to go to Africa. I went to Zambia, Zimbabwe, Madagascar, Mauritius to reach out to the poor and the needy. After my course completed, I came back to Singapore. And when I got home, I saw the suffering of my family members. 2 years had passed, and my father was still grieving over the death of my mother, who died of kidney failure. He was always alone at home, because most of his children are married and are living on their own. He lived with my sister. My sister had to keep long hours at work. And my father had unresolved guilt. He became very suicidal. He became very weepy. He would call up my siblings very often over the most minor things. Sometimes he harassed them as many as 10 times a day. Everybody freaked out. I came back and I saw my father crying out for help. I come from an older Asian family, but the father doesn't usually express their feelings. They do what they think is best. They provide food for the children, they provide a roof over our head, and they feel that they have done their father's responsibility. But I come back to Singapore with a very, very soft heart. I was no longer looking at him as my father, but I saw a very precious human being. who had not experienced love at all, to love and be loved. I decided to take 1 year off from my corporate life just to devote to take care of him. I lived on my savings. I did what a lot of housewives would do. I cooked, I cleaned the house. I shocked my family members with my decision because I was deemed the brightest in the family and the one with the greatest potential because I had gone straight into the university and I achieved my degree at the age of 21. Most of my other siblings had to pursue their degrees in midlife. My 1 year with my father was coming up very quickly, and then one day he fell and he fractured his pelvic bone. I was in a dilemma. Should I stay behind to take care of him? But I tell myself, I've already given 1 year to him and I think it's enough. I've done my responsibility. Nobody would be able to fault me for not loving my father. I did the next best thing. We looked for a nursing home for him and I went back to Australia. This time, I stayed in Australia for 2 more years working as a full-time staff with this organization called Youth with a Mission without receiving a salary at all. Exactly 2 years ago, in the month of February, I was back home in Singapore for Chinese New Year. And when my father fell again, this time it happened at a nursing home. You know, he had a quarrel with an 83-year-old woman over a fan. And each gave the other a push. And after that, the old woman was still standing, and my father was on the floor. He was only 69 then. At the hospital, my father was fuming mad. And he also had a heart attack. I was so afraid that one would die of anger, and the other would carry guilt for the rest of her life. It became a police case. And I remember telling my father, "You have received love from me. A person cannot keep on taking and taking. If it is possible for you, would you please forgive the woman?" I left the decision to him. My father was in physical and emotional pain. The woman's daughter came to ask for forgiveness, and to my surprise, my father said yes. I was surprised and I asked him a few more times, "Are you sure that you're going to forgive this woman?" He said, "Yes, yes." He also didn't press any charges against this woman. And we also did not seek any financial compensation from their family. Because my father, he had the courage and the compassion to forgive someone who had hurt him and caused him pain, I decided to remain in Singapore. I broke my commitment with Australia, and I told my father, "I'm coming back to Singapore to help you again. I will help to improve the quality of your life. Even if you are in a wheelchair, I'll make sure that you live life and you're not sitting there waiting to die." Of course, I didn't want my time in Singapore to just benefit my family and my father. I looked for other disabled people to help. I wanted to teach them a skill so that they can regain their dignity and earn a bit of money. I had no business plan when I started. I didn't do any market research if being a social entrepreneur would be a viable business. I plunged into it because I had caught a vision. I thank God I didn't do any market research because I wouldn't have dared step into this business. Because you know what? Every day I come face to face with Goliath. The story of David and Goliath is in the Bible. Goliath is a very big giant. The enemy. But my enemy is not people. It is mindsets. Negative thinking. Can the disabled be able to do it? Is it worth the time and money training them? It is just too time consuming. We have tried a project and it didn't work. So why don't we just give them money? Why don't we just give them fish instead of spending time and effort to teach them how to fish? And this mindset is very pervasive across society. In the Bible story, David killed Goliath with 5 stones using a sling. I'm like David, small. At the LUA anniversary dinner last Wednesday, I went up on stage to collect my memento with the other speakers, and we all remained on stage to take some group photographs. After that, I came down, and my host, Eileen, said that to me. Lois, you look so small. You look like a kid among the giants. Yes, I'm petite, small like David. But I can defeat Goliath if I have 5 stones. The 5 stones are individuals, you and I, the business community, the government, the voluntary welfare organizations, and the disabled people themselves. Goliath exists in these 5 groups of people. So how do I change mindsets? Deep entrenched mindsets, negative thinking. How do I do it? I lobby for support. I speak to people of influence to change their mindsets about the disabled. Of course, it was a very, very difficult and tiring job. I remember one major disappointment I had at a meeting where I tried to get some help from the government. After the meeting, I walked out and I just burst into tears. I cried, and a girlfriend who was outside the meeting room waited for me to lend support. She saw my face and she knew the answer. And straight away she told me, in a very, very strong voice, you have to be prepared for people to say no to you. I couldn't accept her words. I choked on my tears and I continued to cry. I cried home, I cried to sleep, I cried the next morning when I woke up, I cried on my way to the airport because I was going to catch a flight to Bangkok to attend a trade fair. I cried on board the journey. And I cried when I landed at Bangkok. But one thing happened, something happened that evening when I met up with a friend for dinner. He's a Thai, and he's an ex-journalist from Bangkok Post. He listened to my story, all the challenges, as Kelvin from LUA, the president from LUA Hong Kong would say, don't look at problems as problems, but challenges. And he told me, Lois, you should be very proud of what you are doing. You are doing a queen's work. I was stunned and asked him, what do you mean? And he said, this is the job of the Queen of Thailand. She and her royal family members create opportunities for the less fortunate in society. You know what? And I just stopped crying. Suddenly, I've become Queen Lois. Temptations. Many times I wanted to give up. My head tells me that there is no place for me in Singapore. I'm ahead of my time. But my heart tells me to carry on and to remember the day I received the vision and how happy I was, thinking of what the future could be like for the disabled. I become excited all over again. And one thing I found out about the vision is this: the more you try to yank it out from your heart, the deeper it takes root in your heart. You can't fight against a vision. And I learned that I have to surrender to my vision and let my vision guide me to take the right steps. And it included turning down 2 job offers. One person rang me and asked me if I would help him if he purchased a franchise. Another person called me from Shanghai and asked me if I would go back to Shanghai and help him start a business. And I said no to them without hesitation. I said that if I took up your offer, I would be doing it purely for money. I think they were stunned by my answers. And I was shocked myself because I really needed money. And then there was a friend, a well-meaning friend, who said, why don't you conduct tile painting classes to a group of Thais? They are the rich man's wife. They will have charged down an arm and a leg because they wouldn't mind, because they know that they'll be doing a very good work. And I told my friend, I created Chica and Chico, my own technique of painting, because through a lot of tears and pain, I was never good at art. I took 6 months to learn it because I didn't have money to attend an art class, and I just let my inspiration guide me. And of course, you know, Chica and Chico looked horrible in the beginning. And I told my friend, this is a very, very precious gift that I have discovered the hard way. It is my gift to the disabled. I only want to share these skills with them because they have been deprived for so many chances. I don't want to teach an able-bodied person because I believe that an able-bodied person can help himself if he is willing. It is the disabled people who need our help, especially in difficult times like this. The able people who are retrenched can go and get themselves retrained, can take a job that pays a less salary. They can start somewhere. But a disabled person who wants to be employed, who wants to be a cleaner at a toilet, will not be even given a job. And I said no to her. But you know what? Miracles do happen. My perseverance are paying off. One day I decided to knock on this company. It is located at Holland Village, and people, Singaporeans here will be familiar with Holland Village. It is a place where the expatriates, people in the middle and above income, patronize. I decided to call up this company and ask, oh, would you like to see my things? And maybe you might find it suitable and attractive for your customers. And this lady said, yes, come and see me. And straight away, she just ordered things from me. And she told me, I want this, 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 this. How many pieces of this and how many pieces of that? And I was surprised. You see, I didn't know her. I had no strings to pull. And what is even more surprising was that she offered to pay me cash. You know, in any business, you want consignment. You want to delay paying your suppliers. And she said, no, I can pay you cash. I was so surprised. And I felt that this person, as a person representing the business community, is helping a struggling entrepreneur because it is within her means to do it. Give someone else a chance. And then better things happened. On the same day that I received this order from this company called Lim's Art, I found a check in my mail. It was a $2,000 check. I took a photograph of it because this is a milestone in my career as a social entrepreneur. This person wishes to remain anonymous, and he gave me a check because he believed in what I do. With that check in hand and a business order from Lim's Art, I was ready to fight another day. Last Christmas, I did a big job for this organization. They wanted 1,500 champagne glasses to come with a box or a bag. I had pursued this company for quite some time. I first approached them in April, and I got the answer that I got the job in September. I pitched for it like what you would do in the open market. I did things within the budget, and I took one more step, okay? I went to Bangkok, and I purchased beautiful batik paper, and I shipped them back to Singapore. And I gave this job to a group of disabled people to do, and I taught them how to fold paper bags. I didn't know how to fold it. What I did was I went to Bangkok, I bought some, I opened it up, I studied it. How do people fold paper bags? And I learned the hard way. I wanted to give it to a group of disabled people in a nursing home. But unfortunately, they were very unable, and I was stuck. I have an order to fulfill, and my unable people are not able to rise up to the occasion. So what do? Do I take the shortcut? Do I just get someone else to do it? And my client wouldn't know. You can cut corners and you think that people wouldn't know. But I couldn't pass my own personal standard. I tried hard. I called up many people. Where are the disabled people? Where are those people who need help? And I went to their homes. I lugged paper into their homes and said, can you do this? Did you want to do this? And you know what? A lot of those people who wanted to do this manual job are very, very unable people. They are people who have shaky hands, who cannot fold things properly, but they will try. They will try and try and try. And they make my heart beat. Not for the lack of trying, but for the courage that they want to do something. Finally, I found a group of teenagers on holiday with lower than average IQ, with nothing to do because they can't even get a job at McDonald's. I taught them and the teacher how to fold paper bags. Because they take a longer time to do it, I have to find someone else, a couple of housewives, who can do it well to back them up. The housewives produce 1/3 of the output. My lower than average IQ children produce 2/3 of it. And you know what? When we deliver it and when this organization had that party, there was so many good comments. They said it was excellent. And miracles do happen. Last Wednesday again at the alleyway dinner, I was put to sit in this table, and among them was this man called Matthew Kang. And he told me in our conversation, we realized that he was the one, in the capacity as a deacon of that church, approved that budget, approved that job to be given to me. And we didn't know each other before then. You know, you and I are not very much different. I consider you a social entrepreneur as well because you are on your own. And I noticed that a lot of people here today, you are wearing t-shirts, you're wearing Applic t-shirts, and $1 of these t-shirts that you purchase will go to charity. Today, I'm also wearing a polo t-shirt. But my t-shirt here, the logo, it says Studio Yo, set up for the unabled, managed by the enabled. This t-shirt is silk screened by people with disabilities. I'm in the business, but I will find jobs and I farm it out to them so that I can create employment for them. In your business, you tell people to buy insurance, cover yourself against financial hardship because you never know when an illness or an accident might happen to you that you might become paralyzed. And then, if such an event should happen, you give them a check and you say, this is for you. This will cover your living expenses and your physiotherapy expenses. Very much like you, and for people, we are on the same side, I think. I take over your job after that. I find the disabled people, and I train them, and I empower them to live life. Unlike you, I don't have an agency manager to mentor me. Unlike you, I don't have a big organization standing behind you. It's very different when you present your name card and you say, oh, I'm financial planner from XXX company. And people know, yes, we have seen this company's ad. When I present my name card to people, my name card says a social entrepreneur with no mailing address, no work address. And they ask me, so where do you live? Well, I live in an HDB flat at Bukit Merah View, not a District 9 prime land address. When they see me, they also try to look behind me if there is an influential person or organization backing me. I don't let that disturb me too much. How do I empower my people? I have a friend called Mimi Ng. She is born deaf and mute. She is a draftswoman in an architecture firm. She's not able to hear, but I see potential in her. So I invited her to watch a musical called Singing in the Rain. She can't hear, and people say, isn't that a waste of money? She can't hear the famous song. I said, no, because she has eyes to see. She can see the dance. She can appreciate the beautiful sets. And you know what Mimi told me? She said, thank you for inviting me to that musical. It was her first musical. Although she couldn't hear, she can feel the vibrations from the loud music. Last week, someone told me that a young lady who broke her spinal cord in a mishap. It was like a leadership training camp kind of thing, and she's become paralyzed. Her dream to become a financial controller is dashed. But when she heard about my work, she told this person, I want to help her. I want to do the accounts for her. I said, yes, introduce me to her, because maybe one day when I'm prosperous and successful, she can become my financial controller and realize her dream. I know this person who's a tetraplegic. He became paralyzed from neck down in an accident for 10 years. But he didn't let his severe disability drag him down into the valley of depression. He's a web designer. He's now doing my web page. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show you some samples of his work on screen. Like you, I know that a lot of the work done by disabled people are unfortunately inferior in quality. They have the courage to do something, but the workmanship is poor. So how do I solve this problem? Since I'm a social entrepreneur, I want to compete in the market by producing high quality things. And I cannot accept inferior quality work. I cannot tell my client, oh, accept it because it's done by a bunch of disabled people. No, this is not how I'm going to position my business. And what I do is, I look for a mentor for him. Someone who knows web design, someone maybe who's a professional, who's willing to mentor over email, telling him, this is perhaps how you should do it, so that he can upgrade himself. He can never find employment in the open market. But I use my brain to come up with creative solutions. If I can't find him, if he can't go to an open market and learn from a professional, I bring a professional into his home via email, via webcam. I just want to tell you that life is full of challenges, and I'm no different from you. And today, I'm not telling you a sob story, but I want to tell you a story of courage. I want you to know that many people who are less able than you, who have the courage to move on. And some of these people are here in the audience today. They are my friends. I have Ruth here, who's in wheelchair. Can the spotlight shine on them? Ruth, wave your hand. She's one of my trainees. And the next person that I want to introduce to you, she astounds me with her courage. She was one of the 6 trainees in my tile painting class. Some more able ones have dropped out, but she persevered. And when I started the class, I looked at her. She showed the least potential. She's 28, 10 years ago, while as a student in a university, in her first year as a freshman, she was knocked down by a car. It ruined her hope of achieving a degree. Today, she has a cave-in skull. Her skull is sunk in here. She can't use her right hand, and when she walks, she does like this. She can't speak very much, but she can understand. When I first started the class, the best word that she could say is, And I told her, no, you don't to me. You say yes or no, and you learn to speak sentences. You have to push yourself, because if you don't if you don't start speaking, you lose it altogether. And one fine day, she surprised me by saying, Lois, I want to go to the toilet. She became my star student. In 5 months, she learned to use her left hand to do fine outline that you saw on the picture just now of Chica and Chico. She's able to do 80% of the work, except for writing, which I have to do for her. She took pains. She does her homework that I give to her. But her success did not come easy. Her mother said to me one day, oh, I think my daughter is feeling very stressed out by all this training that you're giving her, that she's not able to sleep the night before she comes for the class. And then I pulled Kialing by my side and I said, Kialing, did you cry at home because you were unable to do fine outline and do all the work that I'm teaching you? She did this. And I told her, it's okay to cry. Because I cried when I was learning how to paint myself. I cried because I was not able to do it. I felt useless. And suddenly, her spirit rose up and she fought. And today, she's my star student. Please meet her, Kialing. And my friend here, Mimi Ng, who had the courage, who had, the courage to go with me to watch a musical. Because during the musical, we were like this to each other and we're scribbling, telling her what it was all about. She didn't let people look at her like, why is this person in the musical? Mimi Ng. And I want to honor this lady as a businesswoman who has the compassion to give me a chance. I'm sure she didn't buy my things because they were done by disabled people. I'm sure she is a shrewd businesswoman. She knows that these things will sell. And you know what? The things sold, and she gave me repeat orders after repeat orders. And right now, I can't fulfill her orders because I don't have enough people to do it. Please meet Rina Lim, the owner of Lim's Art. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot be a social entrepreneur and survive for 1 year in Singapore without the support of my friends and family. Representing my family today is my sister Pauline in the white t-shirt, and my brother Glenn out there in the audience, and my friends Mark and James. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to leave you with 2 questions. Would you be our friend? And would you be like Chica and Chico, Dig deep into your hearts and find courage, compassion, and creativity to face your own challenges, to solve life's painful situations. Thank you.